was a good man.
Actually, my life insurance is all paid up. Maybe they do want me up a ladder. I think we're going that way too much, huh?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we got to go that way, guys, towards Brian.
Not very
Right up a little.
May look like a nice lonely stretch of road, but this is actually the active runway. I'm out at Field Day 2019 with my local club. We are at the Blue Canyon Airport, and I know I've done some Field Day videos before, but what is different about this one is we're going to be talking to the new hams, the guys that just got the tech license. I hear an airplane. I think I need to leave. The airport isn't used a whole lot by general aviation because it is fairly remote. There are no services, there's no tower, there's no nothing up here, no fuel. Used heavily by California Department of Forestry during fires and some general aviation, but being 5,000 feet above sea level and with a general density altitude that goes anywhere between 5,500 and 8,000 feet sometimes, a lot of general aviation planes won't land here. Now, we had a bunch of guys that were supposed to fly in for our group this year, but they came in this morning and literally there was 50-mile-an-hour winds here, and they tried to land and it was like a no-go. There was no landing at this field this morning. So our fly-in field day this year has turned into more of a flyby field day. So what exactly is field day? Well, field day is basically, it's the national ham radio holiday. This is part camp out, part cookout, part party, part anything you want, day in the park. You could sit in your backyard just like I'm sitting here now. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to operate under emergency conditions and make a bunch of contacts. So it's a great excuse to break out whatever ham radio gear you have, whatever ham radio gear you want to have, and get on the air. It's also a fantastic excuse to learn about the hobby and to do things that you don't normally do with people that maybe you don't normally do it, but they've got all the equipment and the expertise to do something that you don't know how to do, which lets you in on all the action, and you can operate anywhere on the bands. Now, you don't need to go to some remote location and operate with a ton of people. You can do this as a one-person thing. You can actually just sit in your shack or your room if you want, and you can operate on UHF, VHF, satellites, 6 meters, 10 meters, HF, anywhere on the bands that you want to operate, that you want to play on ham radio. And if you don't have a license and you show up to a field day event, and generally field day events are open to the public. That's part of the deal. It's kind of a big deal, and clubs get extra points for making it a public event. And like our club, we really welcome new hams and non-hams to come in. We will sit you down at a radio and you will make contacts and you'll figure out what it's all about. So for you new guys, for the guys that just got a tech license and you feel like you don't know what you're doing, for those of you who might not have your license yet, maybe you're thinking about it, maybe you're interested because of the Jeep Club, because of, you know, some other organization, maybe you want to volunteer with Red Cross, maybe you want to you know, run some races or stuff. We've got a bunch of people, bunch of horse people around here who got their ham radio licenses so they could volunteer for, it's called the Tevis Cup. It's a 100-mile run and ride through the Sierra Mountains. And it, not my cup of tea, but there are a lot of people who really enjoy doing that one, and they volunteer with the ham radio. I talked to a bunch of my friends up there at Field Day, and we kind of put a list together of some of the things that you can do with that new tech license.
You can help out at local community events. You can be race communications for bicycle races. So I also have held an official license with the USA Cycling and done bicycle races, and a biggest support was getting the local ham club out. A lot of the guys just had tech licenses, but the riders came back on those races and said, you know what, having ham radio operators at this event has made it so much better of an event. We felt safer on the course because we knew that there was to be a person there with communications to instantly help in any situation. The event ran smoother because you had communications from the start to finish line. Everything worked better.
It's summits on the air. Climb any mountain, and with VHF you can talk to 100 miles out. That's a lot of fun.
I made a contact 135 miles away to somebody that had a 8-watt Chinese brand Baofeng handheld. He was on a mountain peak, 8,000 feet, and I was here at 5,000 feet, and we made a contact.
Soda, one of my favorite things, and then checking in with the local nets. A tech license is you can do soda activations, which is basically you climb to the top of a mountain and you try and make contact from the top of the mountain.
Talk to your friends when you go camping.
You can get a general and you can get an extra.
You could come to Field Day and be a legit member of the club, because you can't really be a member of the club without at least a tech license.
You can come to Field Day and operate on any frequency you want by yourself.
Build things like radios, SDR radios. What the fun thing is, go to Field Day with your buds.
APRS, satellites, 6 meters.
I just found out satellite works pretty good with a tech license. You can hit that.
It sounds mysterious, it sounds wonderful, it sounds exciting. It's not that hard. You're basically talking through a repeater in the sky. So on 2 different bands. So usually it's 2 meters up, 7 centimeters down, sometimes reversed. You know exactly when the band is open by laws of physics. Satellites coming by, and you can talk to it. If it's not coming by, you can't. Band's closed. All kinds of modes, all kinds of satellites, all kinds of things you can do with them. And all it takes is a handheld or a radio, an antenna, and a satellite. And hams have launched satellites since the 60s. They're now CubeSats. They're these boxes with things sticking out the sides. They throw them into space by the dozen, and they have radios in them. And we can talk through those radios to other people on the ground. And you're part of the space age. You're doing physics. You're doing science.
Hey, are you into drone racing? Well, the first-person view goggles on the racing drones, they are in the ham bands there. So get your license and operate legally.
Wait a minute, all right, let me think about it a minute. It's a license to learn. So you can get a radio, you can start playing, get on the air with it, and you'll learn a lot faster by being able to read, see, and actually touch the radio. So that's my 3 things.
Get on the radio, play with UHF, VHF, repeaters, digital modes on, and let's see, you can have some HF privileges too, can't you? Yeah, so, and you don't need CW anymore, so isn't that nice?
So these are just a few of the things that you could do with your tech license if you're thinking about getting into the hobby or you've just gotten into the hobby. Really, explore everything in this hobby. Learn from other people, learn from the videos, learn from everywhere, and just get on the air. I'm going to show you a little bit more of our Field Day, and if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, hit it now, and that like button, because it really does help. All right guys, I'm out of here. I'm Bob, K6UDA 73.